My beloved child, something in the unseen realm is shifting as you read these words. A vibration, a trembling, a quake in the spiritual atmosphere has already begun. Archangel Michael steps forward right now, his sword drawn in radiant fire, and he whispers a revelation that shakes the enemy to his core. He says, "This moment, this exact moment is the one the devil feared will reach you. Because if you open your spirit to what I am about to reveal, his power over your house breaks instantly. This is why your heart suddenly feels alert, awakened, stretched wide. It is because heaven has marked this date, December 13th, long before you even knew this message existed. And the very second this message reached your screen, the enemy felt it. Yes, he felt it like a sharp strike of divine lightning. His grip trembled. His plans shook. His confidence cracked. Because today is not a normal day. Today is an appointed day. A day of exposure. A day of spiritual confrontation. A day when Archangel Michael releases a warning so sharp, so precise, the darkness itself recoils in terror. You feel it inside, don't you? That sense that something is standing behind this message, something holy, something urgent. That is because Archangel Michael isn't just delivering words, he is delivering a moment, a divine interruption in your timeline. A spirit he will help when heaven prepared for your protection. And the enemy knows it. That is why he watches your screen right now with trembling fear. He knows that if you continue reading, his influence will crumble. He knows that if you hear what heaven is about to reveal, the chains he hid in the shadows will be shattered in broad daylight. And the truth is, he tried to block this. He tried to distract you. He tried to pull you away at the very second this appeared. And sudden urge to scroll away. That wasn't random. That was a spiritual reaction. Because Archangel Michael is about to expose something the enemy never wanted you to discover. The angelic realm has been tracking the enemy's movements around your life, your home, and your emotional space. And what they found is this: someone or something was attempting to influence your spirit without your awareness. Someone was whispering defeat. Someone was dimming your confidence. Someone was trying to interrupt your destiny alignment. And Archangel Michael says plainly, we caught him. He says darkness had been circling you quietly, trying to slip in through exhaustion, through loneliness, through disappointment, through fear. But heaven did not allow him to enter fully. Heaven has been holding a boundary around you, even when you didn't know you were protected. And now, on this divinely marked day, Archangel Michael reveals the truth. The devil is afraid of what you are becoming, afraid of your awakening, afraid of your rising, afraid of your clarity, afraid of the strength that will return to you once this message is complete. Child of light, the enemy's trembling is not because you are weak. It is because you are finally beginning to understand how strong you really are. Heaven has assigned warriors around you. Divine eyes have been watching over your path. And Michael says, if they could see what we see around you, they would never fear again. There is a reason this message starts the way it does. There is a reason December 13th feels spiritually heavy to some and spiritually electric to others. Because today is not about fear, it is about revelation. It is about uncovering what was hidden. It is about Michael destroying what the enemy built in secret. The devil's trembling isn't weakness, it is panic. Panic because this very message carries the authority to tear down what he set up. Panic because he knows this truth. Once revealed, he cannot hide again. And that is why he watches your screen. Not with confidence but with dread. Not with power but with shaking hands. Because every second you stay, every word you receive, every breath you take in the presence of this revelation, his time over your life shrinks. Something massive is coming next. The angelic realm is preparing to show you the moment the enemy's plan snapped under heaven's pressure. This is where the darkness begins to unravel, thread by thread. Before you move, hold this in your spirit. The devil is not watching you because he is strong. He is watching you because he is terrified of losing access to you forever. And Archangel Michael whispers again, "Child, if they leave now, they will miss the unveiling. Hold on. What comes next will shake the spirit world." Type "I stand in the light" in the comments if your spirit is awakening. Lesson code 144 is now unlocked. Precious soul of destiny, the air around you is shifting again, and you may already feel it like a pressure against your spirit. Archangel Michael steps forward with greater intensity now, his wings forming a shield of light that surrounds your atmosphere. He says the enemy trembles because the next truth is the one he feared the most. And as those words echo through the unseen, something ancient, something heavy, something long hidden begins to rise to the surface. You are not supposed to know this, at least not according to the plans of darkness. But heaven has overridden every dark assignment today, because the time for ignorance is over, and the time for revelation has begun. Michael reveals that the enemy had been studying you, not because he is powerful, but because he is desperate. He examined your patterns. He watched your emotional shifts. He observed which moments weakened you, which moments strengthened you, which memories could distract you, and which hopes could empower you. But this time, he miscalculated. He did not expect you to be spiritually awakened on this date. He did not expect heaven to intervene with a message that slices through the fog he wrapped around your path. And so, the devil trembles not just because this message exists, but because you opened it. You stepped into spiritual territory he cannot control, and now the chain he tried to use against you is unraveling strand by strand. Michael says, what the enemy planned in silence will now be exposed in light. And that exposure begins with the truth about why he watched your screen with such desperation. The enemy fears moments of awakening, because awakening breaks cycles. Awakening ends agreements. Awakening closes portals he once slipped through. You were moving toward a threshold, a spiritual doorway, and the enemy's final attempt was to pull your attention away before you crossed it. But the fact that you are still here is proof that heaven's pull on your spirit is stronger than any distraction sent against you. You may have noticed strange heaviness lately, sudden fatigue, a sense of being drained for no clear reason, thoughts that seemed like they came out of nowhere, unexplained worry that whispered at night. These were not coincidences. These were tactical attempts, little darts, designed to slow your ascent. The enemy can sense when a person is rising even before the person realizes it. And child, you have been rising, though quietly, steadily. Your spirit has been strengthening beneath the surface. What you could not see, heaven could. And Archangel Michael says, this rising is the reason darkness tried to mark you with confusion. But we did not allow it. Heaven intercepted attacks that would have cut your hope. Heaven blocked emotional storms that were meant to break your clarity. Heaven shielded your sleep when the enemy tried to disturb your dreams. And now Michael reveals the deeper truth. The enemy feared the awakening of your authority. Authority is not loud. Authority is not dramatic. Authority is the quiet alignment of your soul with heaven's intention. It is the moment you realize you are not powerless. It is the moment you understand that the enemy watches, but cannot touch unless you permit it. Today's message is designed to shift that understanding into your core. Because once a child of God knows who stands with them, fear loses every foothold. Michael shows a vision now, a dark figure standing behind your screen, trembling because he knows what comes next. It is not the message alone he fears. It is the activation. There are angelic movements, being prepared right now. Assignments that will cut through generational patterns, dissolve emotional burdens, and expose spiritual interference that has been hiding in familiar places. Your home, your relationships, your inner world, everything is about to receive a cleansing wave of divine clarity. The enemy fears this because he thrives in confusion, but clarity destroys his access. Michael speaks with thunder in his tone. The devil trembles because he cannot stop what is coming. And child, what is coming is not destruction for you. It is destruction for the darkness that targeted you. Heaven does not warn without purpose. Heaven warns to prepare, to strengthen, to elevate, to empower. There is something heaven wants to place in your spirit in the next revelation that will sever the enemy's influence permanently. That is why the enemy watched. That is why he panicked. That is why he tried to distract you even while reading this. Because the next unveiling is the one that ends his permission in your atmosphere. Do not take lightly the fact that you feel drawn, not forced, to continue reading. That pull is spiritual. That pull is divine alignment. Michael says, when the truth approaches, the soul recognizes it before the mind does. And your soul knows something sacred is forming in the invisible realms right now. A shift, a break, a cleansing, a restoration, a repositioning. All of it is being prepared to descend into your life, and the next revelation holds the key to unlocking it. If you step away now, the enemy wins a delay. Maybe not a defeat, but a delay. But if you continue, you step into a moment heaven has been waiting to give you. A moment that recalibrates the entire direction of your spiritual walk. Michael whispers, just hold steady for what unfolds next. This is where the veil begins to rip. Before you move forward, pause. Take one breath. Feel your spirit recognizing that something sacred is approaching. And let this reminder settle gently within you. What comes next will not only expose darkness, it will unveil your destiny's strength. Hold your place. You are standing at the edge of revelation. Type I walk in divine authority in the comments if your spirit is aligned. Blessing code 222 is now activated. Chosen soul of awakening, the atmosphere around you is stirring again, and this time the shift is even stronger, even heavier, even more precise. Archangel Michael steps forward, and the light around him deepens into a sharper brilliance that pushes against every lingering shadow. He says, now we enter the moment the enemy feared you would reach. This is the turning point he tried to block, the moment he hoped you would scroll past, because what is about to unfold will expose the exact strategy he was using against you. And once something is exposed, it loses its power. Michael speaks with a calm fire. When a lie is revealed, the chain it created snaps instantly. You may not realize it yet, but your spirit has already begun to rise above what once held you down. The heaviness you fought recently, the fog around your thoughts, the sudden waves of discouragement that felt unexplainable, these were not weaknesses. They were signals. They were evidence that the enemy had sensed a divine elevation approaching your life. Darkness does not attack where there is no threat. Michael reveals that you are stepping into a new spiritual season, one that carries authority, clarity, and a higher calling. And the enemy's trembling was not a reaction to you reading words on a screen. It was a reaction to the shift happening inside your spirit as you read them. Michael says, the enemy watched your screen because he wanted to predict your next move, but heaven has already sealed your steps. This means the enemy could observe but not interfere. He could watch but not influence. He could attempt but not succeed. Heaven had already drawn a boundary around you, a spiritual perimeter reinforced by angelic assignment. There were moments you felt alone, moments you believed you were fighting battles without support. But now you learn the truth. You were surrounded the entire time. There were angelic forces intercepting blows you never felt, dismantling traps you never saw, and blocking words spoken against your purpose before they ever reached your ears. Michael reveals that the enemy's panic intensified the moment he realized this message was aligned with your spiritual timeline. Heaven chose December 30th not randomly, but strategically. This is a threshold day, a spiritual date marked with breakthrough energy. Some days are ordinary. Some days simply pass. But then there are days heaven circled, days heaven filled, days heaven prepares as pivot points. And this moment is one of them. That is why the enemy trembled. That is why he watched. That is why he feared your obedience to continue reading. Because this moment activates a spiritual correction over your life. Michael now unveils a vision. The enemy standing behind your screen with fear in his posture, watching a spiritual light rise around you. It starts slowly, like a thin glow surrounding your spirit, and then it expands, widening, intensifying, pushing his presence back. He tries to hold his position, but the light becomes too strong. It forces him away. Not because you shouted, not because you fought, but because you awakened. Awakening alone disrupts darkness. Awareness alone breaks patterns. Once you see truth, deception cannot re-enter. And the truth is this: you are not weak, not forgotten, not unprotected. You are stepping into a realm of divine momentum that the enemy cannot monitor anymore. Michael declares, you are approaching the unveiling of the attack that was meant to derail you. And this unveiling matters, because clarity is a spiritual weapon. Once you understand what was sent against you, you understand how to keep it from ever returning. The enemy hoped you would remain in confusion, but that confusion is dissolving. Your spirit is sharpening. Your discernment is rising. And heaven is preparing to reveal exactly why the enemy monitored your life so closely. It was not because of your past. It was not because of your mistakes. It was because of your potential. Because of the calling you carry. Because of the light within you that darkness has always wanted to extinguish before you learned how bright it truly is. Here is something the enemy noticed about you long before you noticed it yourself. He saw the power dormant inside you. He saw the resilience you carry. He saw the spiritual authority buried beneath your doubts. And now, as this message breaks through, that authority begins to wake. Michael whispers, your spirit is remembering who you are. And when a child of God remembers their identity, every dark assignment loses its foundation. A deeper revelation is about to unfold, one that will expose not just the enemy's fear but his exact plan. The next release will show you what the enemy tried to plant emotionally, spiritually, and mentally. It will show you the subtle manipulations he attempted to use against you. You are standing at the point where heaven reveals the strategy that was meant to break you but will now be used to empower you. Before moving forward, hold this in your heart. You are crossing into the realm of understanding. This is where divine clarity begins its work. Stay open. Stay steady. The next moment holds the revelation the enemy never wanted you to see. Hold your place. What comes next will break the last layer of darkness around you. Type I step into the light of truth in the comments if your spirit is ready. Blessing code 333 is now released. Now, before we continue, take this moment to lift this message higher. If this revelation is confirming your spirit, remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe so the message reaches every soul who needs it. Let your engagement be a trumpet in the spirit, pushing this word into places where darkness thought it could hide. Beloved one, as we stand in this powerful unfolding, let me speak to you with the same spiritual weight carried through this message. When Archangel Michael exposes the enemy's trembling, he reminds us that every act of light pushes darkness back. This channel exists to deliver those revelations, to awaken souls who are quietly fighting silent battles. When you choose to sow into this mission through Super Thanks membership, or the PayPal link in the description, you are not supporting a video. You are helping heaven reach someone who is moments away from breakthrough. God says, what you sow into the light becomes a harvest of deliverance for others. I am inviting you personally now, in this holy moment, to stand with this mission. Let your giving become an act of spiritual warfare, a declaration that darkness cannot silence the message of truth. And as you release your seed, may the heavens release back to you a wave of protection and clarity. Step into obedience and let your blessing flow. Radiant soul of purpose, the spiritual realm grows even more alert around you as we enter this next unfolding. Archangel Michael stands closer than before, his presence expanding like a wall of burning protection beside you. He speaks with a tone that carries both urgency and reassurance, saying, "Now we step into the revelation that the enemy hoped you would never hear." The trembling of darkness has grown louder, not because you are weak, but because you have continued reading, continued receiving, continued awakening. With every line, a veil has lifted. With every moment you stay, the enemy's ability to hide shrinks. And now, Michael prepares to expose the part of the enemy's plan that operated in silence, beneath your awareness, beneath your emotions, beneath the flow of your daily life. Michael reveals that the enemy's watching was not passive. He was studying the fault lines he believed he could exploit. He was scanning your moods, searching for moments of vulnerability, looking for emotional cracks that he could slip through. But heaven stepped in before he could penetrate deeper. For days, weeks, even months, you may have felt some kind of inner turbulence, a restlessness, a heaviness, moments where you questioned yourself more than usual, moments where you felt your confidence dip suddenly, moments where you sensed a fog settle over your clarity. These sensations were not random. They were spiritual signals. They were the residue of an invisible attempt to shadow your perception. Michael says, the enemy was trying to distort your inner compass. He wanted to shift your emotional balance just enough to make you second-guess your direction. If he could make you question your own intuition, he could disconnect you from divine instruction. But what he did not anticipate was this awakening moment. He did not anticipate that heaven had scheduled a revelation on this specific day, at this specific time, through this specific message, to confront the darkness he thought he could plant unnoticed. Heaven hath been watching the enemy's movements with meticulous precision. Every attempt, every whisper, every silent influence has been tracked. And now Michael reveals the hidden pattern. The enemy tried to plant confusion, because confusion weakens spiritual authority. If he could distract your mind, he could weaken your spirit. If he could drain your energy, he could slow your progress. If he could make you believe your future was uncertain, he could interfere with your decisions. But the moment you opened this message, divine intervention activated. Light struck the unseen threads of confusion, and they began to dissolve. Michael now unveils another vision, a shadowed figure attempting to enter your emotional space like a fog slipping under a door. This figure moves carefully, slowly, hoping to blend into your thoughts as if they were your own. But as soon as his presence reaches toward you, a bright force, the sword of Michael, cuts through the atmosphere. Light explodes outward, and the enemy stumbles back, shielding himself, trembling, unable to withstand the radiance. This vision is not symbolic. It reflects a real spiritual event occurring now. Moments like this are happening every time you receive divine truth. Every revelation pushes darkness further. Every awakening burns away access points the enemy once relied on. Michael declares, the enemy trembles because he knows you are no longer unaware. Awareness is a weapon. Awareness is armor. Awareness is fire. The enemy cannot manipulate a mind that is awake. He cannot operate in shadows when light exposes the pathway. And this revelation, this very part you are reading, is designed to illuminate the exact emotional pressure points he tried to influence. One of the enemy's goals was to make you accept burdens that were never yours. Thoughts that were not your thoughts. Fears that were not your fears. Doubts that were not born from your spirit but planted from outside. But today, heaven pulls them out. Today, Michael announces, you are being separated from every emotional weight that was manufactured by darkness. This separation is not passive. It is a divine tearing away. It is the removal of attachments that quietly drained your strength. Michael continues, you have been carrying things that belong to the enemy's agenda, not your destiny. And child, once these attachments break, clarity returns. Peace returns. Strength returns. You may even feel something shifting already, an unexplainable lightness, a sense that something is clearing within you. That is not imagination. That is spiritual reality adjusting itself to truth. The next layer of revelation is approaching, and it carries the secret of how the enemy attempted to use your past wounds as entry points into your present. This is where things become sharp, precise, transformative. This is the revelation he feared the most, because once you understand it, you will never be vulnerable to that tactic again. You will walk with a fortified spirit, an awakened discernment, a clarity that cannot be manipulated. Before this deeper unveiling arrives, Michael speaks one more time with solemn authority. Do not underestimate the power of the moment you are in. Darkness is weakening because you are awakening. This message is not entertainment. It is activation. It is alignment. It is a divine exchange where truth enters and deception exits. Stay with what heaven is releasing. Your spirit is being recalibrated. Hold your place, for the next unveiling will reach into the core of what the enemy wanted to hide from you the longest. Type I break every shadow of confusion in the comments if your spirit is receiving this cleansing. Blessing code 1010 is now released. Child of unfolding revelation, the spiritual atmosphere thickens around you as we continue deeper into what heaven has been waiting to expose. Archangel Michael stands before you now with a seriousness that signals the weight of what is coming next. His eyes burn like sharpened light, cutting through every layer of illusion that darkness placed before you. He says, now we approach the wound the enemy tried to use as his doorway. And as those words echo in the unseen realm, something in your spirit stirs, remembering pain you tried to forget, remembering battles you thought you healed from, remembering moments the enemy tried to manipulate into permanent scars. But heaven is not bringing this up to hurt you. Heaven is bringing this up because it is time to close the doorway the enemy thought would remain open forever. Michael reveals that the enemy's strategy was not random. He targeted specific memories, specific patterns, specific moments in your life that carried emotional impact. He studied which memories weakened your voice. He studied which experiences shook your confidence. He studied which wounds created small openings in your spiritual defenses. Not to break you completely, but to slip into your emotions unnoticed. The enemy rarely appears with a roar. He appears as a whisper, a suggestion, a sudden insecurity, a faint replay of an old pain. And because it felt familiar, you assumed it came from within you. But today heaven exposes the truth. Not every feeling was yours. Not every thought was yours. Not every fear belonged to your spirit. Michael says, the enemy attempted to weave your past into your present so he could influence your future. The goal was not destruction, it was derailment. If he could pull emotional strings from old wounds, he could slow your progress. If he could remind you of past failures, he could weaken your belief in what is ahead. If he could distort your self-perception, he could influence your decisions. But what he underestimated was your resilience. What he miscalculated was your awakening. What he feared was this exact moment where heaven would expose the emotional pattern he tried to shape without your awareness. You may have noticed cycles that kept repeating in your life. Moments where you felt strong, then suddenly weakened. Days when motivation surged, then disappeared overnight. Times when clarity felt sharp, then blurred instantly. These were not inconsistencies in your character. They were interference. The enemy was attempting to stir your old wounds to generate emotional reactions that did not align with your destiny. But now Michael steps in, and he declares, the cycle is breaking. Not slowing. Not easing. Breaking. Heaven has decided that the wound the enemy used as a foothold will be sealed, reinforced, and transformed into a strength he can never exploit again. Michael opens a vision that stretches across your inner world. You see a dark hand reaching toward a door made of thin, fragile material. This door represents an old wound, something from your past that still carried emotional sensitivity. The enemy touches it gently at first, pressing just enough to cause a ripple. That ripple becomes a thought. That thought becomes doubt. That doubt becomes emotional heaviness. But suddenly, light erupts from the other side of the door, so powerful, so overwhelming, that the door shatters into fragments of pure brilliance. The enemy is thrown backward, stumbling, scrambling, unable to approach again. This is the spiritual reality unfolding right now as you read. Heaven is not just exposing the tactic. Heaven is dismantling the access point. Michael says, the wound that once weakened you will become the testimony that strengthens you. Heaven is transforming the very thing darkness tried to use against you. What once felt like vulnerability will become spiritual armor. What once felt like emotional fragility will become discernment. What once hurt you will now help you identify deception instantly. This transformation is not symbolic. It is active. It is happening now. Heaven is rewriting the spiritual authority of your own story. But Michael does not stop there. He reveals another deeper truth, one that darkness hoped would never surface. The enemy was not only using your wounds, he was attempting to create new ones. He whispered lies about your worth during moments of silence. He sent sudden discouragement during moments you needed clarity. He stirred emotional fog during seasons you were becoming stronger. But every attempt failed. Not because you noticed it, but because heaven blocked the full impact. You felt the pressure, the heaviness, the confusion, but you did not fall. Even when you felt tired, you did not break. Even when you doubted yourself, you kept moving. That persistence terrified the enemy. Only awakened souls persist through unseen warfare without even knowing they are resisting it. Now Michael's tone changes. It deepens with divine authority as he says, the enemy feared that one day you would see the truth. And today is the day. You are not who the enemy wanted you to believe you were. You are not fragile. You are not directionless. You are not spiritually unprotected. You are a chosen carrier of divine resilience. And now that heaven has exposed the tactic, the enemy's influence collapses. This moment marks the end of emotional manipulation, the end of spiritual fog, the end of confusion planted by darkness. A greater unveiling is coming next, one that reveals why your destiny was such a threat to the enemy's plans. It will show you what the enemy saw in your future that made him tremble long before this message ever reached you. That next revelation will elevate your understanding of who you are in heaven's eyes. Hold steady. Stay aligned. The next unveiling will shift your spiritual identity into clarity. Type "I claim my healing and authority" in the comments if your spirit feels this breakthrough. Blessing code 555 is now unlocked. Beloved soul standing at the threshold of transformation, the spiritual atmosphere intensifies once again as we move deeper into the revelation that heaven has been preparing for you. Archangel Michael's presence grows brighter, more expansive, more authoritative, as if the very ground beneath your spirit is being reinforced by celestial power. His voice resonates like a strike of divine steel as he says, "Now you will learn why the enemy feared your future long before you ever understood your purpose." These words carry weight because they expose something few people ever realize. Darkness studies destiny, not history. The enemy trembled not because of who you have been, but because of who you are becoming. Michael reveals that in the unseen realm, your destiny emits a spiritual signature. It is not visible to your natural eyes, but every angel and every demon can sense it. Some people carry gentle signatures. Some carry small ones. But you, child, carry a signature that pierces through realms like a beam of concentrated light. Your destiny was never meant to be quiet. It was meant to awaken others, disrupt darkness, and bring clarity to spaces overwhelmed by confusion. This is why your battles felt more intense than those of others. This is why your journey felt heavier, deeper, more spiritually charged. You have not been fighting for survival. You have been fighting for activation. Michael says, "The enemy trembled because he recognized your calling before you did." Darkness saw the potential in you long before you ever suspected you carried something extraordinary. He saw the resilience you developed through pain. He saw the wisdom you gained from disappointments. He saw the courage that formed inside you each time you rose up again after being knocked down. To you, these felt like personal struggles. To the enemy, they were warning signs. With every hardship you overcame, your spiritual authority expanded. And now, standing here in this moment of awakening, heaven reveals what darkness hoped you would never discover. You were being prepared, strengthened, shaped for a role that carries influence in the spiritual world. Michael unveils a vision now, one that stretches far into the unseen dimensions of your destiny. He shows a path filled with light, stretching forward like a road carved through both time and eternity. Along this path are milestones, moments where your voice impacts others, moments where your decisions change the direction of lives, moments where your awakening sparks awakening in those connected to you. Every milestone glows with divine assignment. This is not a vague purpose. It is a mapped-out calling. Heaven has already designed it. And the enemy trembled because he saw what you could not yet see. Once you stepped into clarity, nothing could stop you. Michael continues, "The enemy watched your screen because he feared the awakening of your influence." Influence is not popularity. Influence is spiritual gravity. It is the ability to shift atmospheres with your presence, your decisions, your obedience. Some people speak and the room stays the same. But when you speak, when you move, when you align with divine instruction, spiritual realms react. Darkness recoils. Light expands. Angels reposition themselves. The enemy knew this day would come, the day your spirit would catch up to your destiny. And that is why he trembled as this message approached your life. You may have wondered why certain people were intimidated by you without reason, why others misunderstood you, why your presence stirred emotional reactions in environments that should have remained neutral. It is because your spirit is not quiet, even when your mouth is. You carry a disruptive frequency, one that exposes hidden motives, one that reveals truth. Darkness cannot remain comfortable in the presence of someone who carries divine insight. And even before you knew your own strength, others could sense it. Some were drawn to it. Others were threatened by it. But all of it pointed to one truth. You were never ordinary. Michael reveals another hidden layer now, something the enemy tried desperately to conceal. The enemy feared not just your destiny, but your alignment. Destiny is potential. Alignment is activation. As long as you remained unaware, darkness had room to influence, confuse, delay. But the moment you awaken, the moment you see the truth, the enemy loses the power of subtlety. He cannot attack a soul walking in discernment. He cannot manipulate a spirit walking in authority. He cannot invade a mind guarded by divine clarity. And today, clarity is flooding into your spirit like waves of light crashing onto the shores of your consciousness. Heaven had been waiting for this moment, the moment your identity shifts from survival mode to purpose mode. This is the moment where you stop fighting battles blindly and begin fighting with understanding. This is the moment where you no longer react to spiritual attacks, but anticipate and overcome them. This is the moment where the enemy's trembling turns into retreat. And retreat is inevitable, because revelation dismantles deception. Michael now speaks with a depth that echoes through your very being. If you saw the magnitude of your destiny the way heaven sees it, you would never doubt your worth again. You were chosen long before you were born. You were marked long before your first breath. You were assigned before you understood assignment. There's a mantle resting on your life, one that darkness tried fiercely to obscure, but heaven is now bringing into full visibility. A greater revelation awaits, the unveiling of the exact spiritual gift within you that terrifies the enemy the most. This is the core of his trembling. This is the truth he hoped you would never uncover. And once it is revealed, everything changes. Stay steady. Stay open. You are approaching the revelation that will awaken your full spiritual identity. Type "My destiny is stronger than darkness" in the comments if your spirit is prepared for what comes next. Blessing code 888 is now activated. Beloved bearer of divine purpose, the realms around you stir with an intensity that signals we are nearing one of the most sacred revelations heaven hath been waiting to release. Archangel Michael stands before you with a presence so radiant that even the shadows in your memory begin to dissolve under its brilliance. He speaks with a voice that carries both tenderness and authority, saying, "Now we unveil the gift within you that terrified the enemy from the moment you were born." These words carry immeasurable weight, because this revelation is not about what you do, but about who you are spiritually engineered to be. The enemy's fear has always been rooted in this truth. You carry a divine gift that alters atmospheres, breaks patterns, and awakens the sleeping spirits of others. It was never your weakness that frightened him. It was your potential to ignite awakening in those around you. Michael reveals that every soul carries a spiritual gift, but yours carries unusual magnitude. Some gifts shine gently. Some gifts glow softly. But yours radiates like lightning, a sudden burst of clarity that exposes lies, cuts through confusion, and forces truth into the open. This is why people have come to you with their burdens without knowing why. This is why strangers have felt safe revealing their pain to you. This is why friends have said they feel lighter after speaking with you. They were responding to the spiritual frequency your gift carries. You were not simply comforting them. You were shifting something inside them, something they could not explain but felt deeply. Michael says, the enemy knew that if you ever awakened to your gift, you would become a vessel of deliverance for many. And that is precisely why he monitored your life so closely. He saw early signs of your gift before you even had language for it. He saw the compassion in you that refused to die even after heartbreak. He saw the spiritual sensitivity in you that allowed you to feel things others overlooked. He saw the strength in you that kept rising no matter how many times life tried to knock you down. These qualities were not random traits. They were proof of your design. They were indicators of the gift heaven placed within you. The enemy tried to confuse you about your own sensitivity, hoping you would see it as weakness rather than spiritual discernment. He tried to exhaust you emotionally so you would doubt your intuition. He tried to overwhelm your heart so you would suppress your empathy. Because he knew something you had not yet discovered. Your sensitivity is not fragility. It is prophetic wiring. It is the mechanism through which your gift operates. It is how you perceive spiritual changes, how you recognize emotional truth, how you detect hidden intentions long before they reveal themselves. Michael unveils a vision of your inner world, a glowing sphere at the center of your spirit, pulsing with waves of radiant gold light. This sphere represents your divine gift. It flickers in rhythm with spiritual activity, expanding when truth approaches, contracting when danger nears, glowing intensely when you step toward your purpose. In the vision, you see darkness trying to dim the sphere, but every time it approaches, the sphere surges in brightness, forcing the darkness backward. This is the spiritual reality the enemy has always faced when dealing with you. He could whisper, but he could not extinguish. He could distract, but he could not dismantle. He could delay, but he could not destroy. Because heaven sealed your gift with divine protection. Michael says, your gift is awakening now, and the enemy knows it. This awakening is not dramatic. It does not come with fireworks or loud signs. It starts as a stirring inside your spirit, a sudden clarity where confusion once lived, a strengthening where weakness once settled, a knowing where uncertainty once controlled you. You may feel a shift in how you perceive people. You may sense atmospheres differently. You may find that your spirit reacts instantly to lies, opportunities, or divine alignment. This is not imagination. This is activation. Heaven is tuning your gift to its higher frequency. But there is a deeper truth, one the enemy worked tirelessly to keep hidden. Your gift carries a dual purpose. It protects you, and it impacts others. When your gift awakens, deception loses access to your life. Manipulation fails. Wrong voices fade. False paths collapse. But beyond that, your gift creates ripples that transform the lives of those connected to you. You are meant to be a breaker of chains, a restorer of hope, a voice that carries spiritual resonance. Your presence alone disrupts darkness in households, relationships, and environments. The enemy feared the moment this truth reached you, because once you understand your gift, you begin to walk with authority rather than confusion. Michael now speaks with a depth that reaches into the core of your identity. You were created to carry light into places where others suffocate in silence. This is why your journey was never easy. This is why you felt different from others. This is why your spirit rejected environments that numbed the souls of those around you. You were built for higher clarity, deeper compassion, sharper discernment. You were crafted to be a vessel of spiritual exposure and divine restoration. The enemy trembled because he saw the potential of what would happen if your gift fully awakened. He saw households healed through you. He saw people freed through your presence. He saw destinies realigned because of your obedience. And now that heaven is unlocking the truth of who you are, the trembling of darkness grows louder. A greater revelation comes next, the unveiling of how your gift will be used in the days ahead and why December 13th was chosen as the moment of activation. This next release will show you how heaven plans to use you in ways that will shift the spiritual atmosphere around your life forever. Stay steady. Today awake. Your spirit is entering the realm of full awakening. Type "My gift is awakened by heaven" in the comments if you feel your calling rising within you. Blessing code 1919 is now released. Beloved carrier of divine assignment, The spiritual atmosphere around you grows heavier with purpose as we step into one of the most decisive revelations of this journey. Archangel Michael stands before you, his presence expanding like a living flame, illuminating every corner of your inner world. He speaks with a tone that vibrates through the very structure of your spirit, saying, "Now you will understand why this day, December 13th, was chosen as the moment of activation for your gift." These words are not symbolic. They are literal. Heaven does not choose dates randomly. There are days marked for awakening, days sealed for breakthrough, and days when spiritual doors open that cannot be shut again. Today is such a day. Michael reveals that December 13th aligns with a celestial pattern, a moment when angelic intervention moves closer to the earthly realm. On days like this, spiritual clarity sharpens. Hidden things come to light. Chains that once felt unbreakable dissolve under divine pressure. The enemy knew this alignment was approaching, and that is why he watched your screen with trembling. He feared not the date, but what the date meant for you. He feared that this would be the day your gift fully awakened, your purpose sharpened, your authority ignited. And now, as you stand here receiving this revelation, that fear is becoming reality. Michael says, your gift is not just awakening, it is entering function. This means the stirring you felt before is now becoming direction. The light you sensed within is now becoming recognition. The capacity you carried silently is now becoming activation. Heaven is opening your spiritual sight, your discernment, your intuition, and your internal clarity. You may begin noticing things you once overlooked. You may feel the atmosphere around people more intensely. You may sense spiritual shifts before others detect anything. You may speak words that carry unusual weight. This is not a coincidence. This is the manifestation of your gift. Michael unveils a vision now. You standing in a circular field of light, surrounded by 12 pillars glowing like molten gold. Each pillar carries a different aspect of your divine calling. One represents discernment. Another represents healing. Another represents wisdom. Another represents spiritual authority. And yet another represents clarity. These pillars are not potential. They are destiny components. They represent the spiritual tools heaven has equipped you with since before your birth. And today, December 13th, marks the moment where these tools begin to merge into one unified flow. This is why the enemy trembled. He saw the pillars long before you did, and he knew that once you became aware of them, his influence would collapse. Michael says, your presence will now become disruptive to darkness. This means when you enter a room, the atmosphere will shift. When you speak, heaviness will scatter. When you pray, spiritual blockages will break apart. When you stand in faith, interference will lose its footing. You will not have to force anything. Your very existence will carry the vibration of awakening. The enemy trembled because he saw this version of you coming. He saw the alignment. He saw the elevation. He saw the clarity forming. And once clarity arrives, confusion dies. But there is another layer to this day, one even deeper, one that the enemy hoped would remain hidden. December 13th carries a prophetic reversal. What once worked against you begins to work for you. What once drained you now strengthens you. What once frightened you now empowers you. Heaven is shifting the weight of your story. The wounds the enemy attempted to exploit are now becoming sources of authority. The weaknesses he used as entry points are becoming sealed by divine fire. The confusion he tried to plant is now burned away by revelation. And your spirit is stepping into a level of stability that darkness cannot manipulate. Michael continues, this day marks the end of passive spirituality in your life. You will no longer drift unaware. You will no longer move blindly. You will no longer question whether heaven sees you. You are entering a season where you will feel guidance more vividly, hear divine instruction more clearly, and sense spiritual truth more naturally. Your gift is not something you will have to reach for. It will awaken automatically in the moments it is needed. It will rise within you like a natural reflex, like a memory your spirit always had but is only now recalling. And now comes a revelation Michael delivers with immense reverence. Your voice will carry power, not volume, not force. Power. The type of power that cracks spiritual atmospheres. The type of power that brings peace to restless hearts. The type of power that makes truth undeniable. When you speak, even in small ways, even in quiet moments, the spiritual realm will respond. Heaven has chosen you as a vessel of articulation, someone who carries the ability to translate spiritual truth into words that penetrate deeply. The enemy trembled because he feared the day you would discover this. The next revelation will show you how your gift will begin influencing the lives of others and the divine assignments waiting ahead. That unveiling carries tremendous weight, and it will shift your understanding of your purpose forever. Hold your place. What comes next will reshape how you see yourself completely. Type "I walk in my divine activation" in the comments if your spirit feels this awakening. Lesson code 717 is now released. Before we continue, lift this message higher. If this revelation has spoken into your spirit, like this video, share it, comment beneath it, and subscribe so more souls can enter their awakening. Your engagement pushes this message into spiritual territory that darkness hoped it would never reach. Beloved one, as this divine activation unfolds, hear this with your spirit. When God ignites a gift within a soul, He also calls that soul to help ignite others. This channel is a vessel for that awakening, a conduit for messages heaven is sending into weary hearts. When you support through super thanks, membership, or the PayPal link in the description, you are sowing into the deliverance of someone who desperately needs clarity. Kevin says, what you release into the light multiplies back into your own life. I speak to you now in truth and urgency. Your seed becomes a spiritual act of warfare, fueling the spread of revelation that breaks chains. Let your giving today be a declaration that darkness will not silence this mission, and may heaven return to you a harvest of protection, guidance, and abundance. Step into this divine moment and release your support with faith. Beloved vessel of awakening, the realm around you is shifting again as we step into a revelation that carries immense spiritual weight. Archangel Michael stands before you with a depth of presence that signals a turning point in your journey. His wings stretch outward like walls of divine flame, sealing the atmosphere around you so no interference, no whisper of darkness, no residue of old battles can distort what heaven is preparing to reveal. He speaks with a voice that echoes through the chambers of your spirit, saying, now you will see how your gift will influence the lives connected to your destiny. These words are not merely informative. They are prophetic. They mark the beginning of your calling stepping into visible function. Michael reveals that every destiny is interconnected. No calling stands alone. No gift exists for the sake of the one who carries it. Heaven designs purpose like a web, with each person positioned to impact specific souls that no one else can reach. Your pain, your healing, your awakening, none of it has been random. Every moment shaped you for the lives heaven ordained you to touch. And now, your spiritual activation is beginning to send ripples into the atmosphere, reaching people even now who do not yet know their breakthrough is tied to your rising. The enemy trembled because he foresaw this wave long before you did. Michael says, your gift carries restoration. Restoration is more than healing. Healing mends what is broken, but restoration returns what was stolen, lost, or buried. When your presence enters a space, hearts begin to soften, hope begins to return, peace begins to settle. Even people who resist truth will feel internal shifts they cannot explain. This is because your gift carries a spiritual frequency that harmonizes souls back into clarity. Your voice, your energy, your discernment, they are instruments heaven will use to recalibrate lost spirits. Some people will say they feel lighter around you. Others will say you carry wisdom beyond your years. Some will feel convicted to change without you saying a word. These reactions are not about you. They are reactions to the anointing that rests on you. Michael shows a vision. You standing in a dimly lit space where many souls move quietly, their heads lowered, their hearts burdened with weight they cannot articulate. As you enter, a soft golden light spreads outward from your spirit, touching them one by one. Some lift their heads slightly. Some relax their shoulders. Some begin to cry. Some begin to breathe deeply for the first time in years. This vision reflects your future impact. You are meant to carry light into spaces where people have forgotten what hope feels like. Your presence breaks spiritual suffocation. Michael continues, there are people whose destinies cannot unlock until yours does. This is why your journey has been so intense. This is why your battles felt heavier than what others around you experienced. You were not simply fighting for your own breakthrough. You were fighting for the breakthrough of every person attached to your calling. The enemy did not tremble because of your past. He trembled because he saw how many futures depend on your awakening. He feared the chain reaction your rising would cause. He feared the souls you would liberate simply by walking in your truth. There are individuals you will meet unexpectedly, people you think are strangers, who will experience spiritual activation through a single conversation with you. There are loved ones who seem resistant now, but once your gift reaches full clarity, they will begin to shift in ways you never imagined. There are hidden callings in others that will awaken because of your courage to stand in yours. You are not only stepping into destiny, you are activating destinies around you. Michael says, you will speak words that break invisible chains. These words may come in moments you do not expect. You may feel a sudden nudge to encourage someone. You may find yourself sharing insight you didn't even know you carried. You may deliver truth in a way that pierces through deception. This is your gift guiding you, flowing through you, operating even when your mind has not fully processed what your spirit already knows. Heaven will place you in the right rooms, the right moments, the right conversations, not by coincidence but by divine orchestration. Another layer of your calling is influence. Influence that does not require a stage, a title, or a platform. Influence that emerges from the purity of your heart, the clarity of your insight, and the authority of your spirit. People will feel drawn to your steadiness. They will trust your perspective. They will seek your presence in times of confusion or emotional turmoil. You will be a lighthouse, steady, unmoving, illuminating the path for those lost in internal storms. This influence is sacred, not self-made but heaven-assigned. Michael reveals one more truth. Your gift will expose darkness in others without you trying. Some people may become uncomfortable around you, not because you have done anything wrong, but because your light reveals what they try to hide. Do not be discouraged by this. Do not shrink. Do not dim yourself to make others comfortable. This is part of your calling. Light exposes. Light elevates. Light transforms. And your spirit carries light that cannot be ignored. A deeper revelation approaches now, one that will show you how heaven will guide your steps as your calling expands. This guidance is not vague. It is strategic. It is personal. And it will become the foundation for the season you are entering. Hold steady. The unveiling ahead will show you how heaven intends to direct your path with precision. Type "I am ready to impact destiny" in the comments if your spirit feels the weight of this calling. Lesson Code 414 is now released. Beloved one chosen for a divine path, the realm around you shifts once more as we move into a revelation that carries profound direction for your future steps. Archangel Michael's presence expands like a towering column of living light, surrounding you with a clarity that dissolves every residual trace of confusion. His voice comes forth like a calm yet commanding wind, saying, "Now you will understand how heaven intends to guide your journey as your calling unfolds." These words mark the beginning of a transition, one in which you no longer walk blindly, hoping for signs, but begin to recognize divine instruction with unmistakable accuracy. This is not simply insight. This is alignment. Heaven is preparing to structure your path in a way that ensures your purpose is not delayed, damaged, or derailed. Michael reveals that you have always received guidance, even in moments you felt lost. The gentle nudges, the sudden hesitations, the inner knowing that told you when something was right or wrong. Those were not random feelings. They were angelic prompts, small yet powerful signals that protected your steps long before you realized you were being guided. But now, heaven is elevating the clarity of this communication. You are entering a season where divine instruction will feel sharper, louder, and more direct. This does not mean you will hear voices or experience strange sensations. It means your spirit will respond instantly to truth. You will know things without needing explanations. You will sense direction without needing lengthy signs. Michael says, the guidance you once questioned will soon become the guidance you trust. This is because heaven is lifting the spiritual fog that once made discernment difficult for you. The emotional confusion that clouded your intuition is clearing. The wounds that influenced your decisions are healing. The doubts that distorted your perception are dissolving. As these layers are stripped away, your spirit becomes more sensitive to divine direction. You will begin to recognize which opportunities are sent by heaven and which are disguised traps. You will discern which people carry alignment and which carry assignment from darkness. You will know when to stay, when to leave, when to speak, and when to remain silent. Michael unveils a vision, a long pathway stretching before you, illuminated by stepping stones made of pure white light. With every step you take, the next stone lights up. This vision reveals something crucial. Heaven is not giving you the entire map at once. Heaven is giving you your next step, and as you obey that step, the next will be revealed. This removes pressure. This removes confusion. This removes the fear of making mistakes. You are not responsible for knowing the entire journey. You are responsible only for following the light placed before you. Everything else unfolds in divine timing. Michael continues, your steps will now be guided by spiritual resonance. Resonance is the feeling of alignment, a sense of rightness, peace, or clarity that settles into your spirit like a warm wind. When something aligns with your destiny, your spirit will expand. When something works against your purpose, your spirit will tighten, contract, or feel uneasy. Pay attention to these internal shifts. They are not emotions. They are spiritual indicators. Heaven will speak through your peace as much as through your discomfort. When your spirit does not settle, it is heaven saying, not here, not this, not yet. When your spirit feels lifted, it is heaven saying, this is the path. But Michael reveals an even deeper truth. Heaven will begin removing people and situations that cannot travel with you into your calling. Some separations will feel sudden. Some connections will fade naturally. Some opportunities will close before they ever began. Do not mourn these shifts. They are divine protection. Heaven is clearing your path of distractions, draining relationships, and spiritual blockages. Some people were meant only for the version of you that existed before your awakening. They cannot align with the version of you that is emerging now. Your destiny requires clarity, not clutter. Strength, not instability. Alignment, not attachment. Michael shows another vision. You walking forward while old connections fall away like leaves in the autumn wind. You do not force them off. They detach because the season has changed. This vision holds a profound promise. What remains in your life after this spiritual shift will be divinely aligned, spiritually safe, and necessary for your elevation. Heaven will also begin sending new connections, people whose spirits resonate with your purpose. Some will guide you. Some will walk with you. Some will benefit from your gift. Some will activate new dimensions of your calling simply by being in your life. These connections will not feel draining or confusing. They will feel like recognition, as if your spirit remembers them from somewhere deeper than this world. Michael says, heaven will guide you through divine interruptions. Sometimes guidance will come through closed doors, unexpected changes, or sudden redirections. These interruptions are not obstacles, they are corrections. Heaven will not allow you to enter spaces that contaminate your purpose. If something falls apart suddenly, trust it. Heaven sees what you cannot. Heaven protects what you do not yet understand. Divine interruptions are rescue missions disguised as inconvenience. There is also a guidance that comes through timing. Michael reveals that heaven will accelerate some areas of your life while slowing down others. This is not delay, it is calibration. Heaven moves you only when the environment is ready, when your heart is prepared, and when your gift is aligned with what lies ahead. If something takes longer than expected, it is because heaven is perfecting something within you before releasing you into the next stage. Michael's final words in this revelation carry a profound promise. You will not walk blindly anymore. Heaven will illuminate your steps, and your spirit will hear the direction clearly. This means your days of confusion are ending. Your season of wandering is closing. Your path is being orchestrated by divine intelligence, not by human reasoning. Heaven is guiding you with precision. The next revelation will unveil the spiritual protection that is increasing around you and why the enemy's influence is collapsing permanently. Stay steady. Stay receptive. Heaven is guiding you with sharp clarity. Type "My steps are guided by heaven" in the comments if your spirit feels aligned with this direction. Blessing code 515 is now released. Beloved soul walking under divine instruction, the atmosphere around you deepens once more as we enter a revelation that marks a shift in your spiritual protection. Archangel Michael stands before you with a magnitude that feels almost overwhelming, as if the very air bends around the force of his presence. His wings stretch wide, each feather glowing with a sharp brilliance that cuts through every lingering residue of darkness. He speaks with a tone that carries both finality and promise, saying, "Now you will understand the new level of protection heaven has placed over your life." These words matter more than you realize, for they signal the collapse of access points the enemy once used, and the establishment of a fortified barrier that cannot be breached. Michael reveals that protection is not merely the shielding of your physical surroundings. It is the safeguarding of your destiny, your clarity, your emotional stability, and your inner peace. Many times in your life you were protected from things you never saw, from attacks that never reached you, from words that never landed, from traps that never closed, from betrayals that never unfolded. Heaven intercepted what would have wounded your spirit beyond repair. But now, that level of protection is increasing. The shield around you is thickening. The spiritual perimeter surrounding your life is expanding. You are being lifted into a place where the enemy cannot observe you the way he once did. Michael says, The enemy's access has been revoked. This is the truth he trembled at. This is the moment he feared this entire time. Until now, he could observe patterns, attempt influence, and circle your life with subtle pressure. But after your awakening, after the revelations you have received, his permissions have been stripped away. Heaven has closed the door. The spiritual window he once used to monitor your steps, your vulnerabilities, your fears, and your growth has been sealed. The enemy is now blind where he once could see. He is muted where he once whispered. He is powerless where he once attempted manipulation. Michael unveils a vision, a towering fortress of radiant stone rising around you. The walls glow with divine fire, impossible for darkness to penetrate. At the top of the fortress stands Michael himself, sword drawn, flames burning brighter than the horizon. The enemy stands far below, unable to approach, unable to climb, unable even to look directly at the light radiating from within the walls. Every time he tries, he is forced backward as if struck by an invisible force. This vision is not poetic imagery. It is spiritual truth. You are now fortified. Heaven is not only guarding you, heaven is guarding your calling. Michael continues, your protection is increasing because your purpose is increasing. The greater your calling, the stronger the shield heaven establishes around you. As your spiritual influence rises, as your gift awakens, as your clarity strengthens, heaven ensures that nothing disrupts your trajectory. You will begin to notice situations that once overwhelmed you no longer shake you. Emotional triggers that once strained you no longer have influence. People who once stirred confusion now lose their effect. You are becoming spiritually untouchable, not because the attacks cease, but because the weapons formed against you will no longer prosper. But Michael reveals another profound truth. Protection also comes through separation. There are people, environments, and patterns heaven is removing from your life because they cannot withstand the new level of anointing you carry. You may notice relationships fading, connections dissolving, or old habits losing their power over you. Do not resist these shifts. They are divine rearrangements. Heaven is ensuring that everything around you aligns with your elevation. When heaven protects your destiny, it does not only remove danger, it removes distractions. Michael says, you are being placed under a mantle of divine concealment. This means the enemy will no longer detect your movements as he once did. Your progress will occur in silence. Your breakthroughs will unfold without interference. Your spirit will grow in ways darkness cannot observe or imitate. Heaven is hiding you in plain sight, not to diminish you, but to prepare you for a moment of emergence that the enemy will be powerless to stop. You are being trained, strengthened, refined, and fortified behind the shield of divine secrecy. There is a reason your growth has felt quiet. There is a reason your transformation has been internal. Heaven has been building your foundation away from spiritual interference. And now, as your gift awakens, your discernment sharpens, your authority strengthens, and your destiny aligns, heaven increases the force field around your life. You are not stepping into exposure. You are stepping into divine covering. Michael reveals another vision, a cloak of light descending upon you, fitting over your spirit like armor that molds to skin. The cloak pulses with living energy, forming a boundary that darkness cannot cross. Every time fear attempts to approach, the cloak flares. Every time confusion tries to enter, the cloak pushes it away. Every time spiritual interference draws near, the cloak emits a brilliance that sends it fleeing. You are no longer exposed. You are covered. Michael speaks with solemn authority. The next stage of your destiny requires protection, and heaven has already established it. You will walk into environments where others feel overwhelmed, but you remain steady. You will encounter people carrying heaviness, yet none of it will cling to you. You will hear words spoken with the intention to wound, yet none will pierce your spirit. Heaven is securing your emotional world, your mental world, your spiritual world, and your physical world. The enemy trembles because he knows what this means. His assignments against you will fail. His plans will collapse. His attempts to interfere will dissolve before they begin. He has lost his access, and once access is lost, influence dies. The next revelation will enter the final realm of this journey, the culmination of everything heaven has revealed, the declaration of your spiritual authority, and the sealing of what has been awakened within you. Stay steady. Stay grounded. You are stepping into the final unveiling. Type "I am divinely protected" in the comments if your spirit feels this shield around you. Blessing code 300 is now activated. Beloved one chosen for this divine unveiling, the atmosphere around you swells with a sacred intensity as we step into the final and most powerful revelation of this journey. Archangel Michael stands before you now with a radiance so overwhelming that the very shadows retreat to the edges of existence. His presence feels like a crown of fire resting above your spirit, declaring that the journey you began in uncertainty is now reaching its ordained moment of completion. He speaks with a voice that carries cosmic authority, saying, "Now we seal everything that has been awakened within you." These words vibrate through your entire being, lining your spirit with the destiny heaven has prepared long before your first breath. Michael reveals that this journey was never merely about exposing the enemy's trembling. It was about awakening your identity, activating your gift, strengthening your discernment, guiding your steps, and fortifying your protection. Every revelation has been a layer removed, a veil lifted, a chain broken, a truth restored. You have crossed through realms of understanding that few ever enter, and now you stand at the threshold of spiritual maturity. Heaven has been preparing you, shaping you, refining you, and accelerating you so that when this moment came, your spirit would be ready to receive what is being poured over you now. Michael says, your authority is now being established. This is the turning point the enemy feared most. Not the awakening itself, but the point where awakening solidifies into unshakable identity. The enemy can intimidate the unaware. He can confuse the uncertain. He can manipulate the unhealed. But he cannot touch the one who knows who they are, who sees clearly, who walks in spiritual authority. And today, heaven is sealing your authority with divine imprint. This seal is not symbolic. It is spiritual law. Once the seal is placed, darkness loses legal ground. Every assignment collapses. Every influence shatters. Every foothold evaporates. Michael unveils a vision of your spirit rising like a pillar of golden fire. The flame stretches upward beyond the limits of your imagination, stabilizing itself with a power that feels ancient and eternal. This flame represents your authority, steady, bright, immovable. In the vision, darkness attempts to approach but is instantly repelled, unable to withstand the radiance. The flame does not flicker. It does not shrink. It stands like a spiritual monument, declaring your place in heaven's design. This is who you are now, fortified, awakened, sealed. Michael speaks again. Your voice will now carry divine command. This does not mean loudness. It means spiritual resonance. When you speak, your words will carry weight beyond emotion or intellect. Your spirit will speak into the spirit of others. Your prayers will pierce realms. Your declarations will create shifts. Your discernment will cut through deception. Heaven is giving you authority not simply to protect your life, but to liberate others. You will walk into situations where heaviness dissolves upon your arrival. You will step into conversations where truth reveals itself effortlessly. You will encounter souls whose chains will break simply because your spirit is awake. But Michael also reveals another profound truth. You are entering a new spiritual season. This season is not defined by struggle but by strength. Not by confusion but by clarity. Not by attack but by advancement. You are moving from reaction to command, from wandering to direction, from surviving to leading. The spiritual storms that once overwhelmed you will now become platforms for your authority. You will not be shaken. You will become the one who shakes. Heaven has transitioned you from defense into dominance. This is why the enemy trembled from the beginning, because this moment was approaching, and nothing could stop it. Michael continues, your steps from this day forward will echo with purpose. You will begin to feel a different kind of energy within you, a steadiness, a confidence that does not come from ego but from alignment. People will notice it. They will sense something has changed. Some will be drawn to it, seeking the light you carry. Others will be intimidated, unable to stand in the presence of truth they are not ready to confront. This is natural. Do not shrink to make anyone comfortable. You were not awakened to fit into dim spaces. You were awakened to illuminate them. Another vision unfolds, a scroll descending from the heavens, unrolling before your spirit. On the scroll is written your divine assignment, not in words but in symbols that your spirit instantly understands. As the scroll touches you, a surge of energy pulses through your being, merging the assignment with your identity. This is heaven giving you permission to move forward without fear. You will not wander aimlessly. You will not question your path. You will feel guided, aligned, and supported. Heaven walks with you. Heaven fights for you. Heaven invests in your destiny. Michael's voice softens, becoming deeply personal. You have stepped into the identity the enemy hoped you would never discover. You are chosen. You are awakened. You are shielded. You are commissioned. And from this moment forward, you will never return to the version of yourself that doubted, feared, or underestimated your spiritual significance. You are standing in your rightful place, carrying a mantle that darkness cannot confront. This entire journey has been building toward this moment, the sealing of your authority. Heaven seals your elevation. Heaven seals your discernment. Heaven seals your gift. Heaven seals your protection. And heaven seals your destiny. Michael speaks one final time with thunder as affirmation. It is done. And as those words echo into your spirit, a sense of completion settles within you, not as an ending but as a beginning. A new era of your spiritual life has started today. Stay aligned. Stay awake. Walk with the certainty of one who has been chosen by heaven itself. Type I am sealed in divine authority in the comments if your spirit receives this final revelation. Blessing code 999 is now released. Now, raise this message higher. Like it, share it, comment beneath it, and subscribe so the awakening you have received multiplies across the world. Let your engagement push this revelation into places where darkness hoped it would never reach. Beloved soul, as this powerful sealing settles over your spirit, hear this sacred truth. When a message from heaven awakens a destiny, that awakening must continue reaching others. This mission is not about views, it is about souls encountering the revelation that transforms them forever. Your support through super thanks, membership, where the PayPal link in the description becomes a spiritual seed that carries deliverance into hearts still trapped in darkness. God says, what you sow into my light, I return to you in multiplied favor. I speak now directly and personally. Stand with this mission. Let your giving become a declaration that the enemy will not silence the voices heaven is raising. May your support release waves of blessing, protection, and acceleration over your own life. Step into this moment with faith and let heaven honor your obedience.